Hi there, everyone. My name is Bruce Lombardo, and you've got the two screens of fun and frolicness here. Um, wow, this one here, this does not load megahertz. Nice detail. Anyway, my name is Bruce, and with me tonight is Khy and a crafting gamer, also known as David. I'd like to welcome you two to Khy's Musings.
Hello.
We're discussing demographics, population counts, and hold on, this is actually fun and useful for your campaign. We're talking about numbers when it comes to who actually would be considered a hero or adventurer. And before we turn this back over to Khy real quick, I have a game I've been writing and cobbling together from parts of other games that were before it. And in this game, there's no zero level. There's no zero level adventurer. There's no guy that's there. It's like, I've been a blacksmith for 40 years and I still have 7 hit points I started with. There's none of that. There's none of that because I've seen enough in my time to where like people are weirdly resistant. Like I do have a dynamic in my game where I have exploding damage dice where you have extra dice get rolled if you roll max result, whatever. But that's for that rare case. But for the most part, like people are really resistant to things. They like in real world, people get into car wrecks, get bounced around their car, and they survive. You have a 2-year-old kid, which is a living pinball, and they break him out of a 78 Cutlass, and they hoist him up, and the kid's got like a boo-boo, and he's good. You know, a little bit of brain damage, but he was in a 78 Cutlass. His mom and dad aren't that smart. Come on now. But to me, me and Khy talked about this long ago, where like when you go to boot camp, you are saddled with weight and you're given stuff that you usually don't wear. It's kind of uncomfortable, but you learn how to work with it and you go on these little hikes that build up to these big hikes. And eventually you're doing like 12 and 13-mile day hikes, doing stuff in the wilderness for most boot camps. Navy, not in the majority. Coast Guard, again, not in the majority. You don't hike in those. Even Seabees don't hike. They have equipment they drive. They're useless without equipment. So just get that out of your head. We're talking about Army, Air Force, Marines, and Marines, and Army primarily do the rucking around. Air Force might ruck after they get shot down. Basics Nations, if you want in, let me know. Um, you have a kid that at the age of 18, if his body hasn't been honed to at least a 13 strength, he's given a 9-week vacation from mom and dad and carrying around 65 pounds a day until he can actually carry around 65 pounds a day, 80 pounds a day on his backpack, uncomfortable clothing, boots that just aren't made for the human soul. But you eventually your feet learn how to fit in the boots right. I mean, they might have changed a bit, but Army boots never did fucking feel right to me. That's why I was Navy. But you have these little challenges every day you have to do. You get 50 XP every day for doing stuff. Eventually, after like 8 or 9 or 10 or 13 weeks, you level up to level 2. You get more hit points. You get better skills at things. You become resilient. You're cool. And in my viewpoint, like most people in our society are between like 3rd and 7th or 8th level because at a certain point they became comfortable with where they're at and they no longer challenge themselves. They just go out and do things, make their money or trade or whatever it is, make their food appear and fungibility to survive. So what type of person would be an adventurer, you ask? Gentlemen, go ahead and talk.
Alrighty, so your adventures are pretty much are going to. I know I've been kind of working on this one on discussing it for a while now, but I've been kind of playing the idea that the adventurer is you're trained professionally, like you're already a elite beyond other people, but you're not special because you're one of like your group of five friends. Let me rewind a little bit here. I'm going to now frame everything about in my hometown, the greater metropolitan area for my town, for my city, which is a meager 350,000 people. I know for some of you either a very, very small number or a very, very big number. But it's a frame of reference because it also maps very well to a major capital for, say, like London or Paris or Waterdeep is a town of 350 something thousand people in the Middle Ages. So I can frame it pretty well because it maps well. Now, I was going to go with the idea that it's going to sound almost like your Drake equation. So we have a number, and I'm going to assume that PC classed adventurers are going to be between 6% to 10% of the population, depending on needs and environment. But that's about where you're going to sit at. I did choose the 6% as my low end number because it made sense. I was going to go with the idea that it's maps to the American military active and vets a number, because these are people who qualified and chose to go the life of danger and to put yourself into harm's way, which is exactly what adventuring classes are. They are the people who choose to, through some act, to be the ones who go out there and do something harsh, or you're going to die. If you like, you just accept that death is in your future. Some of you are mercenaries, some of you chose it out of loyalty, nobility, and national pride, but you chose it. I'm going with the idea that being a hero class is a volunteer act, which is why I went with 6%. But I also looked at mobilization numbers during major wars and go with potentially upwards to 10% of the population, because you still at that point need what's referred to your tooth to tail ratio, your military to civilian numbers. As you pull people who are of fighting age and fighting capabilities off the line, out of the economy and out of civilization, you have things that break down and collapse. So which is why you had problems like rationing during Second World War, because all the farmers were now being drafted in, and who's making your food, who's running your factories, and now we're looking at a mostly agrarian society where you don't have mass automation. So suddenly, if you go from 3% to a 10% mobilization rate, well, now you got to find people who are going to fill in 6% of the jobs that we're now missing. So you need people to do work, to pay taxes, to farm. Mostly farming and mostly some minor crafting to support the people who are fighting. So that's where I got my 6% and 94% who are of adventuring class. Now, I'm also going to say that somewhere I got this chart. I don't remember. I can't find it, but I know this chart exists. Where if you're looking at people who, if you roll it out stats, you're looking at the idea that 90% of the people of the population is going to be of standard array care. If you use point arrays, standard array, or if you're going to look at it as people with 10, with 4 10s and 2 11s, which at that point, if you put a racial modifier in there, the human racial modifier, you get 2 12s. That's your generic stock human being, which is 90% of the population. 90% of the population is going to have your heroic array, or people who have a few stat points higher up, and then you have your 1%ers who are the phenomenal people, your Olympians, your world class researchers, and the people who just do amazing things. That's the only point I give people. I give player characters are the only people who I'm going to give the advantage of saying they're 1%ers. They're the people who have, when I say you get to roll 4d6, and drop the lowest, your stat array potentially can be greater than everybody else in the population. You have the potential to be better the dice may say you didn't, but hey, you may have a few weak points, but you will most likely have one or two phenomenal stats, and you have the potential now to be better than everybody else, but by only a tiny amount. Because really, honestly, a +1 or 2 over everybody else is good, but not great. So at that point, but the thing is, you're now in a population pool. Now, once again, I'm going to look at 350,000 people, 10%, 10% of that population, 35,000 people are of a class, and of that, you're only going to say have 3,000 who I 3,500 who are of the exceptional class. We have good stats, and then you have 350 who have player character stat arrays, who are above and beyond. Now, out of all of that, you're probably only going to have 5% of the population who doesn't have a job, who doesn't have a calling. And that still gives you 35 people who are of player character quality, player character caliber, of player character classes, who need jobs, who are in between jobs, and who could actually answer the call of the call of duty. When, hey, we need you to go do something, these people go, well, I need a job, I need some money, and who might show up. Now, mind you, a player character who has a good backstory might actually be one of the employed heroes who just goes, yeah, okay. And conversely, I had the person who I was talking to go, well, how does it, with this many adventures, with 35,000 adventurers in the area, how is there any work for any individual person? And I would like to point out that there is more than enough work for everyone to be doing something if they so chose. There is, especially now, we who live in the benefit of this golden age that we live in, where we can drive for 150 miles and not be attacked and not be mugged while you're driving. This glorious age that we can drive for 500 miles, and the worst we're going to have is, hey, don't go up that one dirt back road in the country. They'll murder you there. But over 98% of the country, you're probably fine. Now, we're going to go into a more fantasy realm, where in a world where we have monsters and we don't have a car, where we're having to walk everywhere. And suddenly you start going, oh, wait, lines of communication. You need, how far do you want to go out before you're not going to hear from the frontier, from the border? At that point, okay, so average person can walk. I walk 10 miles in a day in Fantasyland, and you can actually walk 10 miles across, plains on foot. Yeah, you can do it. Not hard. Well, it's going to hurt, but you can do it. On a road, you can go farther, faster. And roads always go double speed. So, okay, so where's the frontier at? 10 miles by foot? Well, no. My messenger rides a horse. Okay, so the horse can do 20 miles a day. So on a road, 40 miles. Okay, 40 miles doesn't sound that bad. So how far out do you push the frontier? Okay, now it's at 40 miles. Like, okay, no, I don't want to. I want to be able to get word back in half a day, and then be able to get a reply back. So you start looking at the idea of 20 miles becomes your frontier. And now you start having to go, okay, so the frontier is at 20 miles, and you put the string of fortresses and places people could, because at 20 miles you now have the messengers can get from the frontier back to a central messaging point, and your merchants who are walking on foot can go from the central trade hub to the frontier in a day, full walk. So there's your frontier of where your traders are going to go, because no farmer wants to be gone for a week to go on a trade. No, he's going to be gone for a day or two to make a barter or a trade or a sale. And suddenly you start seeing this is how big. So this is suddenly you'll get 20 miles in any one direction. That actually mapped really well when I looked at the map to the greater metropolitan area that I live in. if I put the center point at town, at my city hall, and then draw 20 miles north, I hit okay, no, and then you draw the circle around that one point, and you go, oh wait, no, that actually makes a really good sense. And suddenly I go, there's 300, like a 20-mile walking distance, draw a circle around, and that suddenly I have a population of 350,000 people who are living here with food, with water, with transportation, with road networks, and a guy who can walk. If you were willing to walk and you were willing to walk along sidewalks, you could walk from downtown downtown Peoria to Pekin downtown in a day. You're gonna be tired by the time you get there, but you could do it in a day. And suddenly the numbers start to make sense. And boom, now well, so where are all the adventurers? They're on the frontier doing what? Killing what? Barbarians, monsters, cobalt hordes, goblin hordes, orcs, whatever the hell you've got beyond the frontier. So now you start to go, well, how far out is safe land? How far out is safe? And now you go, well, okay, so I need to have a string of forts around my city, each of them manned by 100 adventurers, professional fighters of adventurer class. And suddenly now all of my forts now have fully staffed soldiers, but now I have nobody acting as a central reserve. Well, of course, some people are going to be your militias that you're going to call up there, and now you get to see why there's no free, like there's not a lot of free agents floating around. Like, so if somebody in town goes, we've got a rattling horde who's currently in our sewer system. Well, everybody who's got a job and a position, they're already busy. They're already working somewhere else. You call in the freelancers, your mercenaries who are in town, who, you call on that 350 people, who is your nest. Like, this is your reserve, 350 people, and 35 of them are actually good. Is your entire reserve of people who are going to handle all of your oddball questions. Well, 300 is a lot of adventurers. It's a lot of territory to cover. It's a lot of land you got to cover. I mean, at that point, okay, you got like 40 guys who are taking care of all the problems in major city A. Major section B has got 10. And then you start looking at the distribution and you go, no, it's not that there's too many adventurers. There's just not enough adventurers. And then you got people who are dying, people who are coming into the job, being trained. You have a continuous churn of people who are retiring from injuries. Well, and as a part of this also came to this wonderful point of going, okay, so what happens about how many clerics are in town? This is the whole point of the entire conversation it originally came to, is how many clerics do you have in town? And I'm like, a lot, a whole boatload of them, because it's like, because two people, like, because the point was you only need like 2 or 3 who could cast spells, and I'm like, I'm going to assume that a 1% population is sick at any one point in time. That is a phenomenally low number. 1% who are sick or injured per day out of 350,000. You have to have you need two or three clerics are going to handle now 3,500 injured people a day. And suddenly you start going, we need more. We need a lot more. And remember, part of this also comes around the idea that I also heard is, well, how do people make money? And I'm like, by having an economy and doing jobs. Because remember, you don't make money from your class. You make money from your profession, your skill. A fighter whose entire skill set is, I swing a sword. Well, what skills do you have? What professions do you have? We will pay you to swing sword. You'll be a sword swinger. But if you want to have a job, you have to have a profession or a crafting skill, which means there's things that you do to make money. You don't need to make a lot of money to make a good lifestyle, but you want to make money. And most people can get by. And trust me, when you start doing the math out, you can make a lot of money from just sitting back and crafting. From being say, what's your skill? Oh, I'm skilled in soldiering. So you know how to do logistics. Yes, dude, you have a profession. You can just roll that all day long, and you'll make money. You'll make a lot of money and save money. You're not going out there for 3 weeks out in some dirt, some mud shit-filled hole, go kill some guys, get mortally wounded, possibly mortally wounded, and then come limping back, and you're like, my share of the money was 120 gold pieces. At which point, you have a player who goes, I made that. I almost made all of that money, and I didn't have to pay for any expendable supplies. I just made that kind of cash. You can see why there are professionals who go, I don't want to go out adventuring. These are people who have classes, because Bruce mentioned it just now in the opening, which was, wow. So you go in, you learn your skills, because I did the math out a long time ago that it maps well to boot camp, where you throw some people who you tested. Now you just go through, you do some simple tests, and in game terms, you can justify it as, I put out a DC 14 test. What? DC 14. And I make them do it 10 times. And then I measure out the people who failed that DC 14 test. And, a certain percentage. At that point, you filter out the people who have a 10 or an 11 in a stat and go, sorry, you didn't make the physical fitness tests. You didn't qualify. You push them out there and go, okay, maybe you'll pass the intelligence tests. You throw a bunch of DC 12, 13 tests, make a bunch of level 1s, level 2s, roll that thing out, and then suddenly you find out, oh, okay, so we now filtered out who has a 12, who has a 14 in a stat. Ooh, this guy's a special guy. He got a 16. He run good, he lift lots, he does math. We like this guy. He's charismatic. He can actually not insult everyone on the planet. So you can sort out players. You can sort out NPCs and characters by literally just doing. Here's the ASVAB, and here's maps. Go do it. Here's your fucking physical fitness test. Here's your fucking mental test. Do the shit, and suddenly, a week of testing later, and now you sorted your entire population out. You can now look at it and go, I have X% of the people who can actually not be shit. So that way, when your GM goes, well, how do you know which ones are shit and which ones are not? Simple. I made them do a hard math test, and a hard problem-solving test, and a hard reasoning test, and a hard social situation test. And then I made them run laps, and I wrote down results. And oh, hey, look at that. I now know who sucks. I now know who's a wimp. I now know who's stupid. I now know the guy who can't figure out which end of the crayon to eat. We're done. We got it. We're set. We don't need 90% of you. We don't need any of you. Push them off. Go find real jobs. The rest of you are now adventurers, and you can now sort them out. And now you can have standardized stats that you can now go. Every last one of my NPCs is actually who's qualifies for this class is built to this stat block because I fucking drilled them into this. And then you go through, and then you give them simple tests, very simple tasks, which are low challenge, non-lethal tests and procedures, and you walk them through, and you gain them small amounts of XP per day with rest breaks. And then, hey, look, a month later, you got a bunch of level 2 characters. And you've assembly lined this shit. And then you send them off to go get better. And now, 2 months later, it's now 3 months have gone by, and now you have level 3 characters. A whole fucking machinery, a machine that you insert dweebs fresh from school in, and then you get a bunch of people who fucking fight out the other end of the machine 3 months later.
It's wonderful.
And, was that?
It's wonderful.
Yeah, and it's simple, and it's like, wow. And they're only earning maybe 40, 50 XP a day. They're not doing much. Just don't die. Please don't die. Please don't. Okay, cool. Most of you didn't die. And 3 months later, you now have a block of people who don't suck. And now you can now have a militia. And you throw it out there. And it's like, wait, what are you like? The game rules do this shit. It's like we don't want to think about it because we want to have the idea that our games are supposed to be about players who are heroes. No, you're not really heroes. You're just people who are caught in a bad situation because adventures should never, and the game should be fun. I will say that. But for the people who are caught in these adventures, they should not actually be fun for the people. I'm separating players from characters. The players should enjoy the game. The characters should be terrorized. I should be terrified about what they're doing, because God help them, they're about to do something stupid, and because that's just how it should be, or not. Hey, maybe you are and play the character who knows no fucking fear, and who's like, well, I guess that building's on fire. I'm charging into it. God help. God bless you for being the craziest motherfucker on the plane. Ah, shit. Follow that guy. Why? Because he needs help, and you go follow that guy. I mean, everyone needs a paladin. That's what you got. And I mean, there's so many ways to do this. And I've been talking for 25 minutes. I'm sorry.
Crafting.
Fine.
I just think the numbers. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
I've just been sitting here listening to Khy because even if no matter how I take my character, this is good information to have because I don't want my settlement to fail. I would like it to be something that 3 or 4 in-game generations down the road, Bruce says, and here at Fort Doragon and the surrounding city has been a thriving community for many generations now.
Yeah.
The only problem I may have in the future, if I ever start running this for another group of people, or if the current group of people on my other Saturdays, where's Fort Doragon at? Okay, well we're going to it right now. We're going to Barzap. From Ream? Yep. Okay, well, when you get there, let me know. All right, roll some dice. You have a random encounter, blah, blah, blah. You kill a bunch of wolves, no big deal. The druid weeps the entire time, but you get to fucking Fort Doragon, and the new party is like first level, and they think they can take on Fort Doragon, and so they get their ass handed to them. Some of them die, and then they play for another 3 years later, and then they go back to Fort Doragon, and because they're the main characters of that adventure, like, yeah, I ran it, but like they start boasting, oh, we took over Fort Doragon. Guys, this isn't a PvP server, okay? If you want, I mean, you can find ruins everywhere. The closer you get to Khy or Dyer, you're going to find more ruins because that's a hotbed of hobgoblins and orcs, and they do a good job of keeping an eye on what's going on the pathway near them within 100 miles. But they are orcs and hobgoblins, so like there's a lot of violence there. There's not a lot of structures that have survived there. They're ruins for a reason. If you want ruins, I can get you ruins. No, we want to destroy this place. Why? Because you're the player characters there. Like, this isn't a PvP server. I can just hear that coming up. I can feel that. I know my other group. Anyway.
That's fair.
Oh, we killed the other party. No, you didn't. You may have massacred a bunch of guards and shit, but the other party is like, they're adventurers too, so there's a 30% chance that they're gone. Khy, we got an actual another kingdom building setup I have to start detailing too, by the way.
Oh, goody!
Because I got the bare bones set up for him.
Hey, that's awesome. Honestly, that's really awesome. I won't lie. That's actually pretty cool. But also nice that you started it nice and small, nice and easy. That way, it's not overwhelming. Like trying to throw 3 or 4 settlements all simultaneously on someone's lap and going, "Good luck," and then being told that your PCs have gone out there and claimed every single hex that they encounter in the name of Spain. Which, oh dear God, that the moment that you said that the players had gone and claimed every hex they've gone to as theirs, and that day I brought all the notes to my friend who also helps me do all my kingdom building stuff, and we both looked at that and went, okay, the first thing we're doing is we're cutting ties with everything. Like what? Like no. If it's beyond like 40 miles from town, we're just the PCs think they've claimed it. It's officially our territory, but it's completely lawless. It's beyond that line is Indian territory. We don't go there. It's part of the U.S. It's Indian territory. We do not go there. It's like, but it's our territory. Someone put a flag on it and said it's ours. No, it is lawless. There is no actual administration there. Well, what happens if we do? I do actually try to administrate the entire thing from these 3 towns. And I'm like going, we will have a civil war in approximately yesterday. We will have lawlessness and complete collapse of societal control in approximately now. Why? How bad? They have claimed we did a cursory overview count of hexes based on the fuzzy photos that you gave us, Bruce. And we counted out something around like 140 hexes.
That were my old phone. I'm sorry.
I know. But we counted out approximately 140 hexes that were all technically under administration under the party's control because they were explored and thus claimed. And we sat back and looked at that number and looked at the amount of unrest that comes because there's a number that you get for each additional hex that you have that you claim. It's a natural administrative penalty for having that. And we tried bending every rule and everything we could get to keep the lawful numbers in check. And we were looking at the numbers that we were looking at and going, and I think the comment was, who went and claimed Germania? We are not the Roman Empire. Who claimed Germany? Who claimed all of it? Just went out there and just put a flag on it and said, this land is our land. And at which point the entirety of England goes, I don't think so, Bob. And so we just did it. So we just went, we don't tell anyone. We just go build a wall right here. Yeah, everything north of that, it's ours. It's ours. And so we like cut ties with like, so when we were doing all the math calculations for everything, we ignored like 90 something hexes worth of claimed territory. We're like, it's ours, but not. It's explored. It's not ours. It's if anybody says yes, like, so if anybody from Washington, D.C. shows up and says, so is everything past Missouri ours? Yes. Cool. Are we getting taxes? Say yes, but no. No, we are not. But okay. And then you just kind of sit back and go, no, everything past Missouri, it's ours, but no, it's not. So yeah, when the party went out there and claimed like 100 miles in like 2 directions, and we just kind of looked at it and went, no, God no. And so we were trying to find every way to improve the ability to manage the territories of players on planting more flags on. So and I was actually kind of happy when the party went into the volcano for that first time and then never left for like months on end. And I was just sat there and looked at the calculations and go, and I would look at my friend going, oh, thank God they're not claiming more hexes. and So that because like we were just dreading the idea that the party would come back from that volcano with like another map and go, we have claimed all this territory, and then we'd go, no, you didn't. No, it's all ours. And I'm like, no, it's not. What do you mean it's not our territory? It's not our territory. It's our territory, but it's not. We have no way to tax it. The people there have no idea. We have no. Please donate 100,000 gold pieces, please. Why? So we can build a castle. Why do we need a castle? So we could add 4 more hexes to our empire. We need an administrative center, please. And why? Because I want to add Texas to the Imperium. Thank you. Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure that there's a fancy version of Austin, Texas, beyond the wall, going, "We're our own independent state, but we're part of your union." And the rest of the country, no, you're not. We don't want you. You're not part of us. Yeah. So, yeah, I just did some bureaucratic chicanery and went, no. The party can just go and claim everything they want, but no, we're just going to ignore 3/4 of what the party says at that point. It's just on the books. Just we have 2 books: the books we give the people in charge, and the books that actually keep things running. And I never had the chance to tell the party, please stop colonizing. Please stop claiming more land. We have no administrative power here.
They stopped conquering because they started hitting like the high level shit that requires the resources.
Yeah, but like I said, when we had like 100-something odd hexes that we had to work with, we just were sitting here laughing to ourselves over how nope, we can't do this. So yeah, crafting, you have a wonderful country. You just got a wonderful little town that can grow into something very vast and wonderful and fantastic. You just gotta nurture it. Just build it nice and slow, and don't claim too much land.
Well, honestly, it's already building, going faster than I expected. Like when I first said I wanted the land, I was expecting to be 10,000. Well, in this case, silver. Therefore, I'd have to wait for several levels. Bruce just like, here you go. Like, okay, well, I'm going to have to hire somebody to watch over it. That ain't. Otherwise, it's going to get reclaimed while I'm gone. Oh, here's some people to watch it. Thank you. Well, I'm going to start building up little things here, little things there, so it could be independent if need be. Oh, here's a bunch of housing.
Yeah. No, the thing here is that you get to have things to consider. Every month you have to build buildings. You can only build so many buildings per month. You get to build 1 functional building and 1 housing district per month. Homes are the first house district, housing district you build. So the first residential district you build per month is a free action. So always build your free action. Trust me, the money it doesn't build much, but it creates stability and it creates the power you need to continue to grow, because the bigger the city, the more stability you need. You need houses at a certain ratio to be able to support your businesses. Your businesses generate income. Let me see what you got over here on your chat. In your chat, I'm just going to go look and give you a cursory first pass of bullshitting here. Okay, tavern is good. Tavern is good. Smithy is good. You'll want to. Wow, 4 mansions. You're set for life. You don't need more of those. Just so you know, you don't need more mansions. Not for
those are brought in by other people.
I know, but the thing is, mansion districts count as mansions for for purposes of for developing. If other people build mansions, cool. But right now, you have more mansions in your city than you will ever need. But they're nice. Boy, are they nice. You have a tavern, you have a smithy. You'll want to upgrade those tenements into proper homes because you don't want people living in in a shanty town. As soon as you can, upgrade those peasant homes.
I figure we probably would do that.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
2 years passed and I didn't do month to month shit like any die rolls or nothing.
oh, I know, but I've built enough cities now to go. No, upgrade. You don't want the crime that tenements bring.
Mm.
Get rid of your welfare housing. Make them buy real homes. This is a capitalist society. Home ownership is important. No renters. No renting.
Yeah, that's the problem with the tenements. They bring a lot of crime. They do help your population, but they do not help your stability.
Yep. But start looking at the idea of bringing more people in. There's going to be a certain point where you're not going to need to worry about the individual people who live in individual buildings because each tenement and each housing district you bring in brings in 250 people into your town. Because, and realize there's a lot of jobs that are being done that are not going to be tracked, that are not going to be, it's like you don't need to actually track all of this. It's like, yeah, the tavern and the inn are two buildings that just go together and they're very important because now you have the basis for entertainment, for trade, for people who come in and can stay. You're going to eventually, like the smithy is good. Things you're going to want to look at: build your granaries, build your mills, iron mills. Is this town near a coastline or a river?
No.
No? Windmills. No. Okay, windmills. You're going to need a windmill. Because you're not going to get water mills. But like cisterns, there are things that make your town better just because. And I hate to say it, focus on the economy more than you focus on anything else. I know it sounds cool. But I want a magical shop. You need to be able
to. It'll happen.
It'll happen. But like, I want a magical shop. That takes time for it to be able to support. You're going to want to actually look at, you know, that entire thing I mentioned earlier about look at a 13-mile radius around your town. Start thinking about what is one hex in all directions of your town, because that represents about 13 to 15 miles in any direction.
Not in Bruce's game. It represents 50.
Okay.
The maps for Frog God are 50-mile hexes.
Oh, I know, but I'm looking at the settlement hexes.
Okay.
So the overworld map is one thing. So I'm looking at how you're going to do your math. If you're going to use the settlement building rules, you're going to have to look for what. Do you have any hills in the area?
Couple.
Okay. Those have development. Those have possibilities for development for mining, quarrying, some resource development. Do you have any trees in the area, like woods?
No real woods. I mean, you've got a couple areas where like they can get started and start doing that, but it'll be a minute.
Right. So start. It doesn't. Hey, if all he's got is verdant land to farm on in all directions, that's also good. Verdant land.
Yeah.
Farmland is fantastic.
I I put in the kingdom section of the Discord the fact that I have some cattle, and the names are some dwarves that I convinced to join us.
Okay. I'm looking at the idea of what you're going to be able to do to be able to support a sizable population for a prolonged period of time. Having a lot of, having those hills potential for money. Having some woods that you can farm, that you can do lumbering on, sustain lumbering. Also nice. As long as they're within a 20-mile radius, you're good. You're golden. How much farmland? How much people? Because trust me, you're going to want to be able to support people in time, which means farming, which means you got people you need to defend, who are going to be farmers, who are going to be out there in the wood, out there living on the frontier, homesteading, and then selling their spare food back home. You know, look at wanting to put roads in everywhere, and I mean, yes, you are going to want to put roads in everywhere because that's money. It costs money. You're investing in infrastructure, but it pays out by the boatload later. Plus, it gives you mobility that you need to keep your land safe. Right now, this is all shit that's years down the road before you're going to have all of this stuff. Now, but anytime you've got extra money, and I mean any extra money, invest it. Invest it back in your town. You know that. You think to yourself, man, I could use a +2 sword. Don't. Do not buy it. Flush that money back into your town. Also, don't grow your town. I know this sounds completely antithetical to any idea of expansion. Do not grow your town beyond 10 hexes. Do not claim more land than that, because here's the thing. The money, everything in this game, everything in town building is based on build points. Those build points adjust their value by approximately how many hexes you own, of land you own. And the thing here is that as long as you're under the first threshold point, it's 500 gold a build point. Only 500 gold per book.
Wait, I thought they were 4,000.
It's 4,000 if you have over 100 claimed hexes. Which, by the way, the party had in the other group.
Yeah.
The party, when they went and claimed the entirety of the fucking continent themselves, like, the economy was like, trust me, when me and the other economist guy are sitting here laughing to ourselves, like, all right, so how much money is a build point worth? And I'm like, 4,000. They're like, no, that can't be right. This kingdom ain't big enough to be able to support that kind of oh no, it is. Oh, fuck nuggets. They're fucked. Like, yeah, any money they get will just like, here's 8,000 gold, and here's the empire looking at the 8,000 gold and going, that's nothing. We earn that in taxes. Everything's inflated. All the values are inflated because it's like 12 people who are paying taxes. They're paying thousands of gold pieces to keep the economy running, and it's like wheelbarrows of money are being thrown around because I would like to buy a 2x4 to be able to build my house. I need you to sign over your first 4 children. Well, honey, we need to repair the wall. Let's get breeding. And that's the kind of shit that you're that you're looking at. And like, so if you keep your town beneath 10 hexes in size, the build price is only 500 gold. You could grow insanely big if you have a town that's a small size, and you can cram people in there. And the farmland allows you to support a lot of people in a small amount of area, and it's a beautiful exploit. And explode. And when you finally feel like you can actually afford to jump up from 500 to 1,000,
You don't.
what?
Don't do it.
You don't do it, or you do. But you can cram a lot of bodies into a small amount of area, and then suddenly you realize, oh, this is how Waterdeep did it. Because you know how whenever you're playing Forgotten Realms, like every major city is like there's the city, and then they're like 10 feet past the wall where there's a lot of guards, and then you travel 15 feet, and suddenly it's monsters. It's monsters, chaos, and horrible death in all directions. And you're like, why doesn't Waterdeep go out like it has thousands of people? Why doesn't it go out there and like patrol a mile past its borders? At which point the guards at the frontier who are hearing your conversation are going, that ain't our territory, bitches. We don't go that far. Now, mind you, the first moment the dragon walks across this imaginary line that enters into Waterdeep, laser cannons and spell mages come out of the fucking woodwork, blast the fucker back into orbit, and then retreat back into their gun turrets. And you're going, oh, so the greater demon arc dragon of hell managed to show up and was annihilated the first moment it walked into the zone, but 15 feet, there's giant were-rats, and you need adventurers. Yeah, dude, we don't fucking go out. We don't fucking do shit past the wall. That ain't my land. Because, Waterdeep, dodging taxes and sitting here going, if we expand any bigger, we have
Waterdeep is really Charleston, South Carolina. and let me explain. When I was a service member years ago, back when I was in the Navy, God, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm turning into it slowly but surely. Okay, back when I was in Navy service, we went to Charleston to get our ship demagnetized and degaussed and crap, just so when we went and did the test and all the stuff in Europe, we wouldn't make mines explode by drifting past them. So we go to Charleston, and they've got a Navy base there, and you can go anywhere you want to inside the Navy base. That's the rules. You can do everything you want. You've got some gentlemen's clubs, or you got the O clubs and the enlisted clubs. You can do whatever you want. Everything's available. But don't go beyond the gates. Do not walk beyond the gates, because you're in the worst part of Charleston, and the people that live in that district outside the Navy base, this is 1995. They love nothing more than taking some kid in dress whites or dress blues, or thinking that he looks like a civvy with his fucking quarter-inch hair on the sides of his head and back of his head and up to 3 inches in length on top of his head. We know you're Navy. And they can have a hold of him, and they might leave him alive. A lot of times they left him alive. There were times where there were fatalities. And that was Charleston, South Carolina. Like, I'm not going to say what race was predominantly living outside of the base, but it's pretty easy to figure out between 87% and 13% and 50%. If you can figure that out. Okay. So that is the problem that we had in Charleston. You couldn't go on foot outside the base. Like what Khy was saying earlier, like you want to adventure when you're like in a car. Like, oh yeah, I can just drive 700 miles in any direction and not get attacked. Versus like I'm walking between Peoria and Morton, and a brown bear attacked me, and then after I got away from the brown bear, or after I played dead by the brown bear, I made my way back to the trail, and I got attacked by a bull snake, and I got attacked by a bull snake. I didn't like it. Like you have these things that happen to you when you're a pedestrian, like attacked. And those things don't typically happen to you when you're in a car.
Nope.
I'm just saying that it's a terrible thing to be a pedestrian and be afraid of your environment. I don't recommend anybody live like that. Six Nations.
When it comes to expanding sorry.
I sent him a chat invite as well if he wants to get in here and be part of the panel. I'll tear down one of these cameras.
Glorious Albodia. Yes. Generalissimo of Albonia supports all of our grand plans of stupidity.
Are we talking about the Albonia from Delbert?
Albonia is just a wonderful, generic, fake, probably somewhere in Eastern Europe. We know it's Dilbert that created it, but
It's
kind of
Dilbert.
adopted as so. Generalissimo of your weird, small Eastern European country that nobody cares about. How are you going to handle this problem? Which it also fits well as in for any player character run town or city or city state. Because honestly, if you were to drop your town into the Balkans, no one would notice. It's like, what is it? Was it part of Yugoslavia? We're kind of sure you were part of Yugoslavia, right? Yes. Okay.
Because when it comes to expanding my town, sorry.
Yeah.
When it comes to expanding the town, I got one question for Bruce. Will the taxation count if I expand through underground, like through Dwarven?
Hexes are hexes. That's all I'm going to say. You can have underground areas. Typically, underground is not treated the same as overground because underground, like you need to have a tunnel to be able to transit. You have to have some way to be able to navigate the underground. Otherwise, underground is solid. Hexes underground don't count. I've thought about that before, and I'm like, you could count the towns or settlements underground in your hexes like that. Each one would be a different hex, but you don't want to really count the trails that you have to traverse between points of interest underground, because most people can't get through walls.
Yeah, I was thinking about making basically a mirror image underground of the town.
I actually have rules for this.
Uh-oh. What do you do, Khy?
I'm trying to find them right now, but I do have
rules.
God,
that's a lot of rules.
Look, I have a lot of dumb rules for a lot of dumb reasons, because people ask questions like this, and therefore you need rules, because stupid shit needs answers.
You know what? I hate it when I go to Albonia and all they say is walla 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 walla. Sorry.
No, I just watched we just had a stream earlier this morning where a bunch of the open source military intelligence people were just talking about military equipment, and so trying to describe the worst, best, horrible choice for every weapon type, and going, and so therefore, like, so who do we work for? Well, obviously we are the military industrial complex for Albonia, and we need to sell the weapon of choice to the Generalissimo. But because this is indeed an Eastern European country that will be in civil war at some point, we need to make sure that it doesn't crush the rebellion. So everyone's trying to pick out the worst weapons humanly possible. So yeah, Albonia just comes up as the dumbest people possible, and we love it.
The fact that you guys actually are recognizing yourselves as Dilbertians, that makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
It is such a stupid but such funny show at the same time.
Right, and just remember, the Albonia has the best mass transit network. It has done. We don't pay for it.
Well, I will switch allegiances once they bring back Kelvin and Hobbes.
Yes, we will immediately.
Is there talk about that coming back, or is that just a fanciful?
Oh no, no. Bill Watterson's like, fuck that noise. I did my run. Fuck off.
So is Gary Larson. He's sad.
Yeah, but we got plenty of bathroom material to read. That's a plus.
That's true.
I thought there was a comic or like a finale to Calvin and Hobbes where the old man was in the hospital and he wasn't feeling well, and they brought his stuffed tiger, and he cuddled with it, and the tiger was like pulled him close and like, we always have each other. I'll always be here for you. You're my friend. You were everything to me. And then the old man dies. And when I read that,
Comic.
oh, when I read that, I cried. And I wasn't even a fan of Calvin and Hobbes when I was growing up either. It took me to be like 35 years old to discover the genius in it.
My dad, one of the best things that he did in my life was set me straight with comics, because I would just, read all the comics in the Sunday papers and didn't really think about it. And he's like, no, you don't want to read that. That one there is crap. Read this one. And he started pointing out the specific ones, Calvin and Hobbes being one of them. And I was just like, wow, this is really good. And I guess Calvin kind of reminded my dad of himself growing up as a kid, because he was a little hellraiser.
I can believe it.
I just realized that there's just Soybase in the chat if he's still watching. This is awkward.
What? What was that?
Hey, Soybase Jeremy, how you doing, bud?
I'm so curious about the
He might have passed out.
It happens.
Should I jump back out, type something in the comments, and jump back in, and then I'll answer my own question?
No, we can answer any questions for you. It just
feels
catch my
weird.
breath. I really talk too much.
Really?
I wanted to talk about today about the topic that we have, because I think that's something that, when you run a game, you kind of have to have that in mind if you want to flesh out the world around outside your players. If they're not just dealing with the random waitress or barkeep or individual that's giving them gold. Good job, son. You shot the bad guy. And now you're back in a dungeon again, because I have no imagination for the hexes between dungeon and wherever you're staying at.
You don't want to be epic NPC, man. Adventurer.
God.
Blah, 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 blah.
Eric Bale voice too. I love him.
I wish I got that reference. I'm sorry.
No, a lot of this really is. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get Bruce. I'm giving crafting all the cheap guide on how to build a city, but somebody else has to be able to do it besides the few people who cracked the book open and then studied it way too long. Because
I have peered into the depths. I've gone beyond reality. I see all things. I know all things.
That's right. I am a bureaucrat. This is what I do.
You guys got that far into it, and you discovered all these things.
Yeah, and it's that fun part where you realize that there's between we've justify it like that, you suddenly could sit back and laugh to yourself and go, I now understand why all the most powerful city-states in fantasy are these dinky towns that have too many people, but it's just chaos beyond the walls. And then you realize they're a bunch of cheapskates who are wanting to pay shit on the fucking,
like every capital city in every state.
It's like you suddenly realize, it's like, don't you care about anybody else who lives beyond the walls? No, I don't. Well, you could expand and populate and what? And suddenly my dollar, the value of my dollar halves? Fuck no! I'm not. I am not. I am not going from paying $5 for a cheeseburger to $10 for a cheeseburger. No.
I saw the worst meme today.
Was that?
I saw the worst fucking meme today. I wonder if it's in my channel or somebody else's.
But it
I
is
just
kind
finished
of
painting some Zulu warriors. Oh, sorry.
no, like it is funny when you explain it out as the idea of like when suddenly the value of a 2x4 goes from 1 to 2, that hurts, and then when it goes from 2 to 4, that really hurts.
I'm having echoes of like 4 or 5 years ago.
Right? And then the
Trying to
price
get projects
never-
done at Home Depot was horrible. Oh
Uh-huh.
shit!
And then the price never goes down ever again. And you're just saying, and at which point you kind of send people out and go, like, we should expand the empire. No, I'm going to
At
send
least
5,
make the board straight, please.
and then you just send somebody out and they go approximately 40 miles that way and plant a flag. Our flag? No, your flag. We'll send money to you, and then we'll become trading partners. So are we one country? No, we are a confederation of small towns.
In 2015, you pick up 5 for 5, feed the whole house or yourself 5 times. Now in 2024,
Oh god!
$2. Man, I'm fucking pissed. You fucking ruin the price of fucking roast beef. How could you fucking do that, you fucking fuck?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Communism, socialist.
And the bad part is that when we sat down and laughed about the idea of we're actually more powerful as a collection of confederated small city states, and we laughed and went, "Are we recreating the Holy Roman Empire?" Yes, we are, because the amount of money that you like. Suddenly you had like now there is a point that when your economy becomes solid and immense that you then promptly expand beyond because so here's your exploit. You build to the point where you really don't have anything new to build in your town, and then you do a mass claiming colonial push to the frontier. And then suddenly you pass the 10 hex barrier, and then the value of your dime goes up from 500 gold pieces to 1,000. And now you said so now your conversion rate from build point to gold piece becomes 500 to 1,000, and now you can change that out and use that to fund the next wave of expansion to the next town. And now you send approximately 20 of your build points, which now you generate so many of them, it's not even funny. You just generate, like 20, 30, 40 a month. You just take 40 of that, convert that into cash, which you can do, and then give it to the colonists who are your colonists and who are your best friends, and then you send them 80 miles off to the distance, and then they found Bloomington Normal. Boom, 40 miles away, Bloomington, they colonized and established Bloomington Normal, and now you have a trading partner. They take that 80 that you've given them and turn it into 160 because, well, it's just raw cash for them, and they're starting from scratch. Boom. They have enough money to buy everything they need to create the foundations of a town, and it's
Who run Barter Town?
Yep, and then boom, within like 3 months, you have a fully functioning city that's now established. People are coming in, it's growing out, and then when both towns hit approximate size that you want them to be. Both towns dump approximately 40 to 50 build points apiece into the fund, and then you colonize out, and then you build. Boom! Suddenly you have a bigger town blowing up really, really fast. But this is a horrible, horrible exploit to the game engine. Please don't do this. This is horrible. But then, and when you have 3 of these towns, and they're all established, you then merge like Devastator into forming one big kingdom. And now the
Byzantium. Wait, isn't Byzantium taken? No, B-U-Y Byzantium.
Right. At which point, the Baron who ran the first town just goes, and now I, who was the Shadow Chancellor, puts the crown on and goes, I now declare myself the Emperor of the first Continental Empire. And the 4 or 5 towns that you've built around you is a ring of defenses around your capital, merge in, form the empire. You suddenly go from a bunch of itty bitty towns that are all at about 15 hexes in size to you're now at one monstrous, huge kingdom, and you just claim a few provinces, push it past 100 hexes, and now the value of your build points goes up to 4,000 a pop. You laugh to yourself because you're now generating more money than God himself, and then you take your money, you throw 100 build points, which now you're generating it because you have that kind of cash. You put it all into one thing, convert it to cash, hand it to some wonderful colonists who go out and create an independent colony. That's not really. It's an independent state affiliated to you, but not really. And boom, and suddenly you just drop Hong Kong out there on the periphery, and then it explodes. It builds up. You claim it, and keep a. Welcome to the British Empire. 101. That's a nice
civilization singularity.
Yep. Like that's a nice plot of land you got there. It's a shame you don't have a flag on it. And you just show up, you bring your culture, and whatever fucking peasants that live there, fuck you. Hey, we have a culture. No, you don't.
Add.
You had a culture. This little town of nobodies, like 500 dudes and like 12 militiamen is like we're colonists. We're an independent state of colonists who are on the frontier of this vast empire. We're a bunch of barbarians. Help me, my neighboring empire. The Roman legion walks in, beats the crud out of them, goes, continue being free, peasants, and then walks back in, back in across the border to their lands, and then going, eventually in 3 years we're going to bring you back into the fold. I know, but that's 3 years from now. We know, we're waiting, and it's just like, oh god, Spaceballs, they've arrived. They're with the
That goes to neighborhood.
And it's like when you figured out the game engine like that and realized, we could totally do this, and then that player looks at me and goes, I'm not doing that. And I'm like, thank you for not, but if we ever had to play competitively, like us against another player who's playing this game like it was like Civilization, competitive Civilization, and we're like, oh yeah, if we were playing competitively against another person, oh yeah, we're totally doing this plan. We are going to, we're a harmless little collection of independent kingdoms united under a single crown, and it's like, I can defeat any one of you, but can you defeat all of us? How many are you? And then you just watch the Holy Roman Empire just kind of turn like a monstrous pondering beast who looks at you, and you go, oh shit. Oh, fuckity fuck. As approximately 27 minor baron, princedoms and a few other, and the Austrians show up. You're like, ah, shit. And this isn't. But don't worry. All of that also gives you plenty of room for having civil wars, or like there's a lot of ways to it that. Yes, this is abusing the rules, but this doesn't give you a lot of like. There's so much room for fun, chaos, and nightmares as you go from the HRE to Germany. Yeah, you're waiting for a Bismarck to show up, or you're thinking about some evil elf who's been sitting here going, I have been planning this entire thing. I've been using the humans to build my empire for the last 300 years. And little do they realize this is all part of my elven plot. And suddenly, some guy in Bavaria goes, I got here first, Bavarian Confederation. Fuck. All right, time for the wars. The War of Unification, and you get to have some civil wars and some politicking and fun. Or, as one person goes, oh, so it's the Centauri Republic. I'm like, oh yeah, it's the Centauri Republic, and they're like, this is dysfunctional. I love it, but that's just how bad you can abuse the rule set. But that's some also high level abuse of the rules. That's some very high level rule abuse. Don't do it.
Fortunately for Bruce, that's not how my brain works.
I'm sorry you're friends with somebody whose brain does work like this.
I'm okay with it. I'm not upset. It's fine.
Just beware of peasant dirt farmers and a guy named Dennis.
Yes.
No. The worst. If you guys start to play and you go investigate a wizard and tells you that having trouble with another and a gray cat, like a Russian blue cat, starts like following you around the tower while you're there, and it's close proximity to hungry about this cat within 10 feet of it. The cat's not like joining me or anything. He's being a cat. He's just within 10 feet of you the whole time. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's Steve. What? That's Steve the cat. Okay. Steve the cat, just stay away from Steve the cat. That's all you need to know. Just stay away from Steve.
Okay.
Reminds me of the joke I seen online.
Also, crafting, another way to cheese the fuck out of your system, out of building your town on the cheap. Because right now you're poor, you're starting out. Build like an American. Build wood. Use wood buildings. Don't build stone. Stone expensive. Wood cheap. Build everything on the cheap. The important thing here is that the price tags listed in Ultimate Campaign are listed for building stone buildings meant to last. If you're looking for rapid expansion and trying to build on the cheap, build with wood. And
Waddle and Daw would be cheaper, but yeah,
building with wood is half the price of buying it with paying full price for stone. Stone lasts. Stone is good. Stone's easier to rebuild after it gets trashed. So after the inevitable barbarian horde comes through and destroys your town, you just go and say, oh hey, look at that. We replaced the wooden bits and we're back online. Yes, you have a chance of fire hazards and Fulsa showing up there and burning your entire town to the ground, but you're getting it for half price. So ask yourself, Do you want to build like a European or do you want to build like an American? We're Americans. Build cheap, build fast, build expendable. Deep down,
And don't do that weird shit that the French did with the vertical log cabins. That's just weird.
That is weird. But like I said, build on the cheap. I know it sounds weird to say it that way, but you know what? Build disposable. You can build a bigger empire, a bigger town faster for cheaper. And honestly, with the price, with how much things cost, and how much money do you have right now?
I personally have the main denomination is silver. I have 2,000 silver and 700 gold.
Okay, so 9,000 divided by that number, and okay, and if I divide, okay, you can build like if you're willing to invest your own cash, but like realize that. Okay, so we're going with silver pieces rather than gold pieces for pricing because that's the denomination, and realize that some of the things that you're looking at needing to buy are looking at around the 8,000 gold piece for one building, for one key structure, and you're only going to be looking at getting back a reliable income rate of approximately 500 gold pieces a month. I know that doesn't sound like a great return, but it's a steady return. It's a reliable return, and you're looking at getting a bonus to crafting checks while in town because of that structure. I'm just using a brickyard for example. Or you can build it out of wood because remember, we're Americans, we're cheap. You're going to look at the idea of now instead of 8,000, 4,000, and now you're going to get a return on your investment in 8 months rather than return on your investment in 16 months. So you're trying to ask yourself, how long are you waiting for a return on your investment? Eventually, you're going to get at a point where you can afford to build with real materials, build nice, but just realize that wood's cheap. Build with wood. Build with mud and sticks and straw and other garbage because, well, you're too poor for nice. And if you build only nice, you'll never get big. Build cheap and then build grand. Rome did not start as the city of marble. It started as a city of mud brick. You're at mud brick stage, man. But I want you to hit marble. I want you to hit marble one day.
That'd be awesome.
Right.
This is tech level 1.
Also, are you willing to put in brothels?
Yes.
We can get you a lot if you are okay with sex and gambling. Boy, can we get you a lot of money quick. But you better be okay with crime. But we can.
I'm okay with it.
You're okay with crime?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even if I try to keep out crime, like no sex, no drugs, no nothing like that, it's going to eventually seed in. Usually, when you don't have control over that kind of stuff, the gangsters just make more money off of that because they're putting it in there anyway.
You got to be the bigger gangster and take control of the crime.
Exactly.
Okay. How do you feel about becoming Macau?
Oh, God.
I'm not sure what that's a reference to.
The city. Okay, there were 2 cities. One is Hong Kong. One is Macau. Hong Kong is awesome. Macau is awesome but crazy. Was. It's no longer. But it was. So you did all your business and trade in Hong Kong. Yeah, fucking Las Vegas of the East is right across the harbor. That's what. Just call it what it is. The Las Vegas of the East is right across. Is one boat right away. And if you're
literally
willing,
situated between two great cities.
We're getting into Golden Triangle territory here. This is where it's going to get kind of creepy.
Now, if you're willing to have like a gambling den, which is your casino, and then surround it with strip clubs. Sorry, bordellos.
Lady boys. Oh God.
We could get you a lot of infamy and money, quick and cheap. Like if you're willing to you gave me a price tag. I could get you a gambling den and 3 strip clubs for dirt cheap. Your town will probably be known for this, but you'll have money, a lot of money coming in pretty quick. Just warning you that I could.
You can always do gentrification.
We can get
partition off a section.
Yeah, just it's your red light district.
What's for dinner? Fixed dinner?
Yep. And if you're willing to go and have some interesting Shanghai tunnels under your strip clubs, we can do that too.
Well, I've already said I want what I wanted to do was make a mirror image of the city beneath ground to expand it in that aspect as well.
We can do that. We can have tunnels. You can have the entirety of the strip clubs and the gambling casinos underground. So you're like, no, officer, it's all legal up here. Everything's nice and handy and nice and beautiful. And then go underground. What? Real underground? Yeah, it's underground. And the drow are like, this is fucking natural. We love this. I have a lot of players who are like, I don't want any strip clubs or drug dens or anything terrible that happens in my town. We are a wonderful, law-abiding, good population that never does anything bad. And then me and my fellow horrible man who does terrible things with rules both go, okay, so we're going to cordon off like approximately a 1 square kilometer area of town. Yeah, and that's just the black market land. We don't go in there. No one goes in there. What's in there? Gambling casinos, black markets, strip clubs. It's the red light district. And we have some people go, why would you do that? And we're like, Kyoto did it. the Edo period fucking perfected this idea. It is the red light district. You just go there. All problems are solved. And everyone's just like, that sounds kind of, and we're like, you have no idea the amount of money we're freaking doing at this point. But shouldn't you care about the idea of, look, you want to have an internal adventure land where players get to go in there and get mugged, fight thugs, and play Yakuza, the role-playing game? Yes, go in there. Man, I'm going to go walk down, we're going to go walking down the streets. Why are you walking down the streets? Because we want to. Okay, you're caught in a gang war. Shouldn't the police be here? What police?
Please don't go here.
Here, or they do. They come in squads. All right, guys, we need to go into that section. Put all your riot gear and carry enough tear gas. Start firing spicy wind gas down all over the place. Why? We need to go arrest somebody. Fuck. All right, the police have arrived, and they're going to tell you to go do something stupid. What do we need to do? Oh, we need you to go in there and find somebody. and drag them out. Ah, hells. All right. And because it's a great idea where you throw your black market with a bank next door. It's like you just do like it creates like a theme. Like you've now themed an area that has a culture to it. Right now, it's not that bad, but grow it quick. Because the reason why I say brothel is bordello is such a nice thing. When you build it out of wood, it costs only with 500 gold pieces of build points and out of wood for half price, 1,000 gold to open one.
And you'll be making that by the end of the week.
And in 2 months, you paid it off. It's paid you back, and now it's making you more money. And it just rolls cash in. And the gambling den only costs if you build out of wood, $2,500. So you want to have so for half the money you got, we can get you 2 strip clubs and a gambling den. And we've got a nice place for adventurers to go and take care of business. And it pays for it, and it will pay itself off in less than 6 months. And now you have a net positive income of approximately only a meager 2,000 gold pieces a month silver pieces a month that are rolling into your pockets every single month without rolling. That's the best part of it. You have cash coming in to now fund real projects. Your city is built off of sin and sex and violence, and it's okay because now you can go and buy something good, for the actual people, or buy a dance hall because you need to have your gambling hall attached to the strip club, attached to the dance hall, attached to the strippers. So that way now oh my God, I'm pulling Kyle's stripper guild people into this. Oh, God. So anyway,
actually to cut down on crime, if I get some of the shadier guilds in here for their help, in exchange they get to keep a little bit of the profit. That'll cut down on crime quite a bit.
Hey, now
because at starting level, what do you got? You got the main thoroughfare, you got the east side, the west side, you got the meth and copper theft and the watermelon and fentanyl, and it's all good. It's all manageable. Keep them in the ghetto.
And
keep them in the trailer parks.
Now, here's the best part about why your mansions were such a good those 4 mansions you got count as bonuses to law for settlements and stability in society. So law cancels out crime. Society cancels out infamy. Those by having 1 dance hall, 1 gambling den, and 2 strip clubs, you have the mansions cancel them out, so you are at a net zero balance. You are a functioning, no penalty civilization.
And since those I cut a deal for the families that own the mansions.
Yep.
They don't technically have to pay me rent, but they're paying the taxes for the land.
Right, but as for society, for when you're building your settlement math and your fundamental things, I have given you penalties that are being counteracted by the fact that you had 4 mansions that are built. Spend some money, kick out all the tenements, build some actual real houses, build some more houses, and you now have enough stability to counteract the crime that you're generating out from there. You are now at a wonderful neutral level, and that's before the inn, the tavern, and the smithy are adding their benefits in. You're actually going to be within a half a year at a serious net positive of income. that you can afford to pay for mercenaries at a pretty good rate. Which is, or don't buy mercenaries yet, depend on the player characters to do all your hard work, and shift immediately to building more things that build your economy out. Start aiming for what you want to be saving for, because now you're looking at having an income of every month generating approximately 7 to 8 points before you roll dice. And that's the important thing. Before you roll dice, because you can't count on the fluctuations of what the dice are going to do to you. You can't. So you just assume the solid number, what your solid number is going to give you, and then work from there and build out. And it's a nice solid point that you can just go, this is what I can count on. This is what you can work with. My excess cash can fluctuate, but I've paid all my basic bills. Do not ever deficit spend. Never deficit spend. Trust me on this one. Unrest goes up by fucking bonker numbers if you start deficit spending. And suddenly you might have a healthy empire, but one 6-month military campaign that you couldn't afford suddenly starts having protests and riots in the street. 1 year of campaign later, and suddenly you might have people knocking on your front door to behead you because, well, hey, Generalissimo, no one likes your taxes, and suddenly you're dead, or fleeing for another country, and living as an exiled prince. There's a lot of things you can do here. Eventually, you're going to want to build, all these nice little luxuries like a library or a hospital, or places that the players could shop at, like markets. You might want to put like paved roads in, or eventually a guild hall. These things that players can actually like and enjoy, and suddenly you'll have magic items that are available. Not a whole lot of them. And remember that all of these shops have a base value of how much money the town has to be able to spend, to give. So per month, you might have 20,000 silver pieces. I gotta remember to downgrade here. Silver pieces worth of items to sell, but the town only has 4,000 gold pieces in liquid cash between the entire city to pay you. Well, suddenly you realize you can't actually get all 20,000. You can only convert 4,000 in art objects and gems every month into usable cash, and that's what the town can generate and work with. So you're just thinking to yourself, okay, well now we have a generating income now of X amount of cash for the next 6 months that we can. But I kind of need all my cash now, and well, sorry, I'm sorry, the town's not JG Wentworth. You can't fucking just call them up and say I need cash now. Though you can work out deals probably. Now you create complications for your players who have more money than they can actually spend. And the economy won't crash because the economy can handle it, but this is what the economy can handle. And they just kind of look at you and go, we don't got any more money to give you. Well, if I buy something, well, now you've got, okay, now we can work something out, and you got deals, you got plot lines, you got stories you can now throw at your players that are organically generating because of what the town can do. And you now have an interesting encounter. It's like your town goes from being weird and boring to actually kind of neat now. And now your party wants to invest and go, I need better things. I want better things. This town needs to be better. And suddenly you're now going, okay, I want that alchemy shop. I want that blacksmith. Now I want him to have access to more reagents, to more access, to more power, more, suddenly you're now investing and things get so much cooler and better. And your town goes from being at something that you just, and the best part here is that I'll send you it or I'll post it in Discord, but there's a sheet that allows you to map out your town. Do it. It's not, you don't like it. You kind of have to, but you don't have to at the same time. The thing here is that if you map your town out, you get to actually figure out where the main streets are, where the alleyways are. You will get to plot out and think about what the town actually looks like, what its character is. You might end up in. I know that some of you don't live in my hometown, but Bruce, you know this place because you used to live here. But the point in time when Big Al Strip Club and all the really nasty bars were all on Main Street, and you could bar crawl from one end of the town, past the courthouse, and all the way uptown, turn around, and then drink your way back down the other side of the street, and end up at the all-night underground bar. And it was a great time in the early 2000s when you can drink yourself stupid along 4 blocks. The thing was that gave that part of that town character. Right now, your town doesn't have much character because it's just some lines of code written on a sheet of paper. But once you've put it down on a sheet of paper, it says, "This is what my town's got." And now you can just throw things randomly on it, or you can start going, "No, I want my mansions to be on this side of town, along this road, this path." And now when players are going through town, they can actually get the idea of, when you're describing town, what actually is that area. So when you're traveling along this one street where all it is mansions, where it's mansions, street, mansion, more mansions, it's an entire block of mansions. And then you think about, well, I'll just add more mansions, and you just this whole, and then you get this Grandview Drive, and it's like a road where all it is rich people. It's the rich people district. And you think about, well, what shops would the rich people want to have in their backyard? Because fundamentally it doesn't matter. But then you think about yourself, but what would they actually want in their backyard? And you could go, well, I give them a park or a wizard tower or an academy, something rich people would want in their backyard, because golf course isn't an option. But you think about that, and it's like, you're not going to go put a cistern or a tannery in the backyard of a mansion. Well, you could. They might not like you, but you can also think about, well, maybe it'll be upgraded to villas, where they go to something more grander than a mansion, and you can start thinking about that rolling personality that you're going to start building into your town, because you've invested the time and the thought and the effort, where you're going, well, maybe these merchants don't want to, you don't want to open a Walmart right straight across from, the Meth Head Emporium pawn shop. You might not want to do that, but you might. You've opened your magical marketplace across the street from the black market. Yeah, hey, one-stop adventure shopping, But you might also have the problem of, crime, where the black market literally just walks across the street, punches the wizard in the face, and walks off with his scrolls back into the black market. But you've now created a story that's now organically happening in your town. Sorry about that.
You're good.
It's okay.
So, with what we've discussed tonight, I wanted to get into numbers. I wanted to get into why campaign design strategy works when you work it. Crafting Gamer, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Sorry.
Other than I feel like Khy is giving out a lot of good info. Not really.
Six Nations, if you've got the ability to come off mute. I know you have a loud dog sometimes. I think he muted himself because there were some things going on in the background there.
It happens.
It does.
Yeah, the dogs were being perky every time they got a piss.
What are you doing, Dad? What are you doing? Oh, we're going in here? Come on, guys. Everybody in here. It's all good. Everybody in here. I love dogs.
Oh, yeah.
It's a love-hate relationship. This was an awesome stream. Like, all the streams are awesome, but this is great because it dealt with world building, city building, and the nuts and bolts on how to do it in an efficient manner. And you don't hear that a lot on YouTube.
Not really.
Like they give you the generic out of the book, here's XYZ town and here's a dungeon, but they don't explain like how the fuck the dungeon got there. Why is there an economy based around all of this? And this kind of like puts it in perspective. First you get the money, then you get the power,
And then dungeons
then
happen.
you get the women.
That's
Yeah.
definitely get the women. Well, typically, I think the order here is first you get the women, then you get the money, then you
Get the women to get the money. Yeah. Get some barber surgeons in there too for the clap.
That's right. So what I heard is I need women, money, then power. Isn't that backwards? No. Quick, just 3 school buses full of strippers show up. We're set, guys. The economy is insane. Why? Strippers.
Well, that actually means that inspires me to something that Khy missed. I should say. One more thing that my town needs: a church or a temple with plenty of clerics.
Okay. Let's get you a working price, a working basic bitch price here. How grandiose do you? Okay, we're starting from scratch. You are a little itty bitty town, correct? Yes. Here is not a temple, a shrine. It's a holy site with like one guy who watches over it.
It'll work.
Build it out of wood, again, because we are cheap. 4,000 gold. Sorry, discount. Like here at Discount Dan's town building shop, we have a shrine. One guy who looks over it for a meager 2,000 silver pieces. You too can have a shrine that will heal you with the clap.
Then you got the pilgrims coming in, which is, a little bit of cash flow.
Yep. So
Holy crap, you're basically going to become Miami.
Yep. And that will give you the ability to upgrade from shrine to temple. And that allows you to use the price that you invested into the shrine as a discount towards the next building up in the chain to temple. So we're looking at here. We first established your wonderful little shrine, about 3 or 4 shrines. I don't know, 1 to chlamydia, 1 to clap, one and 1 to
One space herpes.
What was that?
1 space herpes.
Yeah, and then 1 for for the patron saint of bar brawls. And that will give you the ability to have the money you need invested to build the temples you're going to need later as your population grows. And at that point, 16 minus 1. So for a low price of only 6,000 silver pieces, we can upgrade each of those shrines to a temple. So one shrine for every 6,000 gold pieces you have, your one 2,000 gold piece shrine can become one nice temple, and the temple is it will have, and now you get to have 2 minor magic items on sale at any time. Plus, you have more stability and more loyalty, and it reduces unrest because the temples do that. So now you can put in more brothels and more gambling debts. Because until you have the Las Vegas Strip, you're not done. Keep building. And just remember, the temple gives you a discount to building addition. So once you have your first temple, so build your first shrine, upgrade a temple, and the temple gives you a discount for all future shrines you build. So all your future shrines are half priced. So that way you establish your first shrine, build your temple. Temple gives discount Dan prices to all your future shrines, which then count towards building your next temples. And you keep this wonderful little cycle going. And make sure eventually you build a graveyard, because you're going to start burying all those people who lost too much money in the at the casino somewhere. Or go buy a crematorium. Crematoriums are also good.
Yeah, you don't want to be polluting the rivers and gumming up the potter's field.
Plus,
my first thought is go ahead and put in the crematorium and do keep it part of an efficient system. You cremate the bodies and use the ashes for fertilizer.
Make sure, but you gotta build the crematorium next to either the city dump or a graveyard. So that way, but it gives you bonuses to checks versus plague or monster attacks involving the undead. If there's no bodies, there's no undead. The Japanese figured this shit out. You can't have an undead attack if there's no cemetery for the necromancers to work in.
Very true.
Ha! No zombies and there's no bodies. No. And there's a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of things you can do that brings character and personality into your town with the system that makes things fun and interesting. And it's just an interesting idea of what you can do. And there's just so much. I can almost walk through like the personality that each of these little buildings. Honestly, do you have Ultimate Campaign?
Do I?
No.
Okay, you don't. I will send you a copy on Discord. It's my copy, but it will have all the buildings you need. And I will send you my copy of Ultimate Rulership, which again gives you all the buildings, all the additional buildings. Now, mind you, Ultimate Rulership was not written by Paizo. But remember, the writers...
Legendary Games.
What was that?
Legendary Games.
Yep. But the people who wrote Ultimate Campaign, who ended up writing the Ultimate Rulership, Ultimate Leadership, their Ultimate series, which are all excellent modules for this. So Ultimate Commander, Ultimate Ruler, Ultimate Combat and Ultimate War are 4 modules for Ultimate Campaign that take Ultimate Campaign from being a damn good book to an amazing book. And I'll find a way to get you all 5 of these books, but you really only need to have Ultimate Rulership and Ultimate Campaign. Those are just 2 fantastic books that are almost engine agnostic. You might need to find out a way to be able to, for rolling out taxes, but for planning your buildings, these are the 2 books that just make it so much easier. Because to go back into older days, I had to use shit like the Castle Builder's Handbook from 3rd edition, which was a okay book but trashy. And then there was a 2nd edition book that was pretty much the exact same book, and it was so hard to use and so hard to build. But these books made it. It was no longer I'm playing Traveler or GURPS and trying to build a castle by brick. This was, I have a castle. I know that it sounds like a lot of spreadsheet work. It is, and it's not at the same time. It looks intimidating until you actually realize, wait, no, this actually isn't hard. This isn't hard math. This is just math. And it's just simply, can you add a lot of numbers and have them all balance out? If you can, this is you're a king. Congratulations, you're a king. You now get to rule a kingdom. It opens up so much. But I'll find a way to get you these books because, God, they're such a good purchase. I mean, I've had them for 11 years now, and I've never regretted these books at all. So,
yeah, it kind of reminds me of this Gary Gygax supplement from Fantasy Master, Town of Baldemar. It was like a little generic town, but it gave you the ability to purchase buildings in it, and then it was like if you want to upgrade your building from like Woggle and Daub to timber to stone, etc., it gave you those little tidbits of information. I've had that thing since like '87. Books damn near falling apart, but there's better stuff out there now. That was the first foray into like city building and really fleshing out a point of interest.
Yeah, and the thing is that the more you work on this, the more character you pour into it. Like I said, by just saying the town's built out of wood, you've already got a feel for it. You pay full price, you now have stone. If you think about the idea of I want something different, you can do that. They have the ability to put sewers in, drainage ditches, paved roads, lighted streets. Because right now, when you're thinking about how your town looks at night, it's dark. There might be a few lanterns in the, that might be on street posts or in windows or by doors, but your town's dark. Then you think about the idea of putting lamp posts in. Suddenly you now have lighting, and now your street's lit up at night, which is both cool and not so cool at the same time. But it gives you that sense of safety, a sense of cleanliness, because you're not just walking down a dirt, muddy road, because you're not walking through the Old West where you have because that's a town I'm describing to you right now. Is an Old West town, dirt roads, wood buildings. It's you came in a dusty trail, you passed 5 or 6 buildings, and then you walked out of town, and that was the entirety of town. Right now, you're at that stage. You're at the stage Clint Eastwood walks into town, or you decide to have Gunsmoke being played in the background. You got this. This is where you're at. I want you to get past this as fast as possible, but first you need to grow at this stage. You need to grow at dirt cheap and then build fast and get past this. And you're going to need to have your Western Boomtown stage where you go from where it's just San Francisco before the Great Fire, where everything's wood. Pocket as much money as humanly possible, so when the town burns down, you rebuild in stone. You do what Chicago did. You grow fast with wood, it catches fire, it burns down, you just kind of go shrug, and then everybody builds it all up new. Because here's the best part about wood. When you're rebuilding, now here's another abuse of the rule system. You pay half price to rebuild ruins from ruin status back to being a full-grown building. Well, congratulations. Man, a couple $100 and you're back online, and your whole town's back up online. Then you upgrade as you go. So you burnt the whole town down. You spend $10,000. You rebuild. Insurance spends $10,000. The whole town's rebuilt back to being wood again, and then you start upgrading key buildings back up to stone, or upgrade to stone. And then you realize residential houses you don't really need to pay. People don't need houses. They really don't. I mean, people would like to possibly live in a house made of stone, but a block of stone houses, that costs 1,500 silver pieces right now to build. But do you really need 1,500 silver pieces? No, you could build that for a meager 750 silver pieces. You can start building your housing districts, and that's cheap. Just go cheap. People love living in wooden houses. Isn't that how everybody wants to be? And then when the house burns down, insurance can replace the whole block for nothing, and you're out nothing. Because to build it out of wood is 750 silver pieces, and when it burns down and then you rebuild it, it's only 375 silver pieces to rebuild the whole block. You're out nothing. I know this sounds heartless, but this is how things work. Fire is not a problem. It's just merely a delay. I hate how heartless this sounds, but you're not playing a normal person. You're playing a lord. You gotta start thinking like a lord. Yeah.
I was just agreeing with you.
Oh, but don't worry. If you want to build tenements and you want to go cheap, like you really want to go cheap, you want low rent housing because low rent housing is cheap. You can always build it for 250 silver pieces to build a block of low rent housing. For the amount of money you're going to spend on some +1 leather armor, you could house so many poor families. Everybody can live in their own little shitty fucking apartment. And everyone can be miserable. Isn't that great? Because the court afforded a staggering number of low rent housing units. Yes, a staggering amount. And you can build them for fucking cheap, for fucking pocket change. God, I'm playing Slumlord Simulator. I'm actually trying to justify slumlording.
It's a quick boost to the population.
Hey, if you
get some extra workers.
If you have a mass refugee population, because remember, every lot you fill is 250 people, which means when it comes time to raise a militia, you need to be able to use that population as bodies that you will throw into the meat grinder to stop a monster. Because you're just going to get, and you don't even need to equip them very well. They just need to have pitchforks and rocks. Sorry, slings, which are dirt cheap. Mundane string, leather, and rocks is a ranged weapon. And they have sharpened sticks. But remember, if you can get 1,000 people with sticks and rocks, they will murder dragons. So just think to yourself.
Work for China, 5,000 years of bureaucracy and shit ton of people.
And don't even spend money on giving them armor or good weapons. Sharpen sticks and rocks and send them out to go fight. So if you have 2,000 to 3,000 people living in your town, 4,000 people, 5,000 people, you're now going to just say, I'm calling up this is the levy. I'm calling up 1/5 of the population. 5,000 people pick up. Okay, 1,000 people pick up sticks. And then, or you can just tell them, hey, if we lose, you all die. So now you might get all the husbands and wives, so the children and the old and the infirm, which is about approximately 30%, 60% of the population, is now useless and can go hide in the bunkers and whatever, do the sniveling, and then you send your 2,000 people who are with sticks, and now you have 1,000 man units of people armed with sticks and rocks who will now go over there and then beat the living snot out of. It's like we are an elite band of 200 Riders of Doom. We are the best and the brutal. And then there's just this meat wall of 1,000 people with sticks. And then you just watch this ultra powerful unit of cavalrymen with wizards and archers and badass magical plate mail just get beaten to death in mass combat. They had no hope. They had no chance. What? They're all 15th level characters? They all died. They just freaking died. And that was the end of things. Because they walked into melee because in mass combat range, all the ranges go away. It's now ranged combat, melee combat. So because you gave them all rocks and slings, so you're 200 badasses, 200 fucking badasses come right into range, and then the sky darkens from rocks. And
then the survivors pick up the weapons, the armor.
Yep.
Poor Timmy, who was a fucking dirt farmer, now has a metal helmet, and he can last another day in combat.
Yep. But now he just turns around and goes back to town and just puts his pitchfork in his pile of rocks back in a bucket and goes back to being a farmer. Oh, and also remember that you can also get a number of people from your countryside that you've laid claim to that also goes up depending on the amount of development you've done to the hex. So if you've got farms, mines, and other things, that's more people that are also into your population that you can call up for your draft, for your levy, but also you're going to need to build granaries to support the amount of food. That 2,000 man group of peasants is expensive in terms of food.
Oh yeah.
So you raise them up, they stay in town, they don't do anything, so they cost less to maintain, and then you wait for the bad guys to come to you. You eat them on the walls, and then everybody puts their shit away, demobilizes, and goes back to being peasants, and you have a nice day. And you just put the head of the wizard who turns into a snake on a pike on the edge of town and saying, "Don't," as a note to the next guy who comes to town and is like, "Oh, why is there a wizard head, a dragon head, and like 15 Minotaur corpses on spikes on the?" And I go, "That's the border. Do not walk across the border." Oh, these guys figured out what peasants are. Yes. And
Kai's description of the 1,000-man army versus 200 men reminded me of a joke that goes around the Magic Gathering circles. 15 Eldrazi get summoned, and then, "Oh God, I'm being overwhelmed by the power of 15 1/1 squirrels."
As somebody who plays green decks, I understand. Green-red decks that are just mini decks, yes. I enjoyed that. Look, I very much enjoy beating the heck out of the rule system because it spells out why there is a frontier and what could happen. But the thing here is that this falls apart the moment you start having like modifiers, and there are ways to make this work. Like This is why the mass combat rules in Ultimate Campaign are the weakest system part of the entire rule set, and why I try to find new way. Like Ultimate Commander, Ultimate Campaign, and Ultimate War are definitely 3 books that I love Campaign and I love Ruler for the empire building side, but the rules for running armies are so broken and so worthless that A, the abuse I told you actually happens. B, it doesn't actually tell you any limits on how many people you can raise in a levy in an army. Nor does it tell you where they have to come from. They just appear. You just say, I issued a decree. It has no price. It has no value. It just has a food cost to maintain. And you're like, and the build points that you need to buy extra equipment. But peasants don't. But peasants who don't have gear don't have money. I don't cost money. So you're sitting here going, wait, where's the balance point? The game never says. So these are weaknesses in the rules that need to be addressed, and kind of why I did limit myself immensely when I was doing all the math for you, Bruce. I was actually going, no, there has to be a guy who's the drill sergeant. There has to be the guy who's there to train you on how to be better at your job, at your class. You don't just get to instantly appear. That's why I was trying to keep a very, very intricate record of exactly how many people were trained at what levels. So that way, when the party needed to have an army appear, I could, when they said we need 500 dudes, I can go to the rolls of the reserves and find out exactly how many people are of what class, what specialization, and what build, and drop them and go, here is the approximate number of people we have available. I have 1,000 melee people and 500 archers. I can have that can be called up immediately, and they are of 3rd level. I have a number of people who are in advanced training, who are doing their weekend warrior bullshit, who are being rotated out at 4th level, who are coming back in and rotating for additional training. We have people available that when the party town was nuked, I think I was up to I had a standing group of 2,000 level 3 fighters who were melee focused, 1,000 level 3 fighters who were range combat focused, and a cadre of approximately 400 level 4 characters, and then a small cadre of level 5 trainers, people whose only job was to train the next generation of idiots to not be idiots. And it was churning through 400 people every single month was being churned through the machine and rotating into this. I rotating into the active and passive, into the active and into the reserves. But then the town got nuked. The towns got nuked, and that took my numbers out and go. That's where I was standing. I was standing at the kingdom could bankrupt itself in 6 months, but it could put 3 Roman legions in the field to fight somebody. But at 6 months, they all have to go home. But for 6 months, you could put 3 legions and a 4th that was assembling in the field. I thought that was a pretty good deal I had built for you guys.
Hold on.
Bruce is in trouble.
Shh. Doesn't sound like murder
actually,
yet.
when,
So
yeah, when I first when Bruce was talking to me about maintaining the fort earlier tonight, I was like, well, I guess I'm retiring this character.
No.
It was Bruce himself that
No,
said,
you did-
no, your wife,
delegate the
your fiance
workload.
will take care of it for you.
Start working on
'Cause-
building a collection of NPCs to be your administrative staff. They will be the people who will run things day to day. Your day to day, month to month operations can be passed off to NPCs. It is critical to fill those job roles as fast as possible. Just start by saying everybody who's filling the job right now, each of the jobs, and I'll pass the list of jobs to you in Discord.
Okay.
Just say everybody who's currently doing the job right now is a 0, is a 10 in all their stats. Nobody. They are paper pushers and administrators. They are sloths. They are people who just are there to be bodies filling the holes. Now, the next thing you need to do is start looking for NPCs, people with names, people with personalities, and then start slotting them into each of the jobs that I will be passing to you. These will give you bonuses, and at the early stage that you're at, they will give you immense bonuses that will just do wonders far faster than any building. Like, you'll make money just by having them there, by filling these jobs with people who actually have stats. And when I give you the list, I will give you what stat is important for that job. And you're just trying to churn money in to get people who are good. Do not give into nepotism. Do not put your cousin Tony into the job. Unless Tony's good at doing math, do not put Tony into the job. Do not find your brother Vinny who just knows how to punch people and make him your sheriff. You want people who are actually good at the job, because these are going to be people who are key individuals who will run your town for you while you're gone. But remember, each person that you name and put in there is a personality and a person that you will have to deal with and think about. You cannot have a person do multiple jobs.
Nope.
Because these are full-time. These people who are doing full-time jobs. They have jobs on the side, but this is their actual duty. So when you hire a guy to be your magister, his job is going to be being the magistrate. He will not have any other job. He will do that one only. He cannot pull magistrate duty and also on the side is also your marshal. He's not. The magister's job is to oversee wizards and magic users. He won't have time to be your viceroy or your royal enforcer or your spy master. You don't have time. That man will have no time. Well, maybe right now when your town is the size of a thimble, because you have a Casey's and a Casey's and a church, and then you're past town. Right now you don't got much, but eventually you're going to need a warden, a viceroy. Well, viceroys for when you have a colonies, but so right now you don't need a viceroy. So you need a warden, a treasurer, who is your master of taxes. He is your IRS agent. You want someone good to do this job. You'll want a spy master, who right now he's not really your master, James Bond 007 spy master. No, he's just the guy who's around town and knows everybody, knows what's going on, and you lean on him and go, so go find me the person who's pickpocketing everyone, and he takes care of shit for you. You're going to need a marshal. The marshal runs your future military, or just the town militia. Use town militia guard right now. You're going to want a royal enforcer. Yeah, you're going to want Vinny, who I'm Vinny Too Smart over here, whose job is to punch somebody because he's causing you problems. You need a thug. You need a magister whose entire job is to keep all your spellcasters in line. You need a high priest whose entire job is, well, priests. The holy rollers. If you need a designated heir, somebody who's going to replace you when something goes wrong. Congratulations, he's your vice president, or the guy, designated survivor. Keep him safe. You want him. You want your grand diplomat. He's your PR agent. He's your guy who you send out to go, hey, the boss says stop being lazy. You need your head of the council. You got your wife, who will run shit when you're not there, and then there's you. The ruler, the mayor, the guy in charge. These are the people, these are the jobs you need filled. You really don't need to have a consort, but you already have one. Congratulations, you're good. And an heir, the heir is nice, but is optional. But the heir is also somebody who is the designated, in the event that you and your wife are dead, this guy is in charge. And you've already got it set up. So that way there's a easy transition of power, so that way the system doesn't fall apart when you're not there. And trust me, you want everything filled. You want a functioning government. And everybody gets to have a name. Everyone gets to be a personality. And this means you get to have the wonderful, unenviable task of going to Bruce and going, I'm looking for NPCs, and Bruce is now going to be the person who gets to now generate for you a mountain of NPCs and applicants for you to go, nope, yep, nope. Why would I want that guy? This guy looks fun. He's Blake. And you get to have the complication of getting to sort through and fill. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 jobs. 10. You get to fill 10 jobs, my friend. And good luck. It's going to be crazy. You're not going to. Not all of them are going to be nice. Not all of them are going to be fun. And now you get to juggle 10 personalities while you're trying to do your job. Hopefully you find people who are loyal, but don't give in to nepotism. Find people who are skilled. Problem is, skilled people tend to be ambitious people who have their own agendas, who might try to overthrow you. Or not. So be a good leader, and nobody will betray you. Or everyone will betray you.
Well, luckily, I'm kind of lucky when it comes to the nepotism part. My character's that's something I kind of developed just so I keep calling myself Mongoose. My character's backstory is Asian, and I'm the only Asian family in the area.
Oh, good. So you can only hire locals. Good. You're gonna have to find locals. Just find people to fill these jobs. Right now, just say they're all filled with zeros, with idiots. Just people who are unambitious, average fools. Because you don't want the vacancy penalty. You do not want that vacancy penalty. Right now, just assume that everyone is just mindless bureaucrats who are just bland. They are your DMV workers who just kind of sit there and stamp shit. And the town goes on. But right now, just say that you have a bunch of idiots. Just do it. And then in your free time, in your time applying, as you're adventuring, as you're looking for other people, look for anybody who stands out, anybody who's interesting, anybody who could be fun or just memorable, and then vet them. Just become their friend and then recruit them into your organization, and then periodically, if you have to, fire somebody and replace them with someone better. as you find better, because you want to find the best people to run the best government you can possibly have. But periodically, you got to go and trim the fat off the system. When somebody's pawning a little bit too much money, or they're getting a little too used to having too much power, you might want to throw them out a window or something. I mean, or do something to them to keep the rabble in line. Just you gotta do work, and it sounds like it's miserable. I know there's some people who just don't like politics, and this is politics, but this is the shit you can do in your free time between sessions, is to work on all of this stuff. Plus, now you get to have fun little things of like, where was your character? Oh, I was having lunch with the town general, the militia captain, or with the head of police. It's like, what over what? Yeah, we were taking care of the. There was a drunken brawl and a shootout down the brothel section. I needed to take care of that for a while. And if you ever find yourself going, man, I don't have an adventure to do. Like, man, I just don't know what to do. You just go downtown to City Hall and go look at the books that you've been ignoring and your wife has been working on, and going, so what's currently going on? And your wife sits back in your big chair and looks at you and goes, where do I start? And starts to list off all the problems, and you get to go, oh, well, that sounds bad. I think I can take care of it. And then you go ring up your buddies down, your hit squad, also known as player characters, and go, hey guys, for a couple $1,000, are you willing to go out there and blow up a small part of town? Yes. Fantastic. You get to pay the party some extra money under the table, kind of, not really, because you're not pocketing it, the party is. And so you're paying some mercenaries to do a job out of the city funds. Congratulations, because there is rules that says about how much money you can legally skim off the top without causing civil war. But remember, you're paying mercenaries. Mercenaries can be paid in cash, and cash counts as bullet. So you're paying a proper amount of money, and just happens to be you're one of the mercenaries. Just we don't talk about this, and well, those tenements were causing problems, and I really wanted to bulldoze them, but there's currently a crime problem. I'll let it get worse. Now there's a crime problem. I'm going to dispatch me and my friends. We're adventurers. We go in. We do what we do best: blow up town. And suddenly there's an entire part of town which is full of screaming, crying peasants. There's fires and brimstone. The whole thing's been leveled, and well, now I can go build a supermarket, right? You go in, you scoop out the people, and now you got a new place to build that market or that temple that somebody was wanting built. A little bit of work, a little bit of fun. You took care of a crime problem. Everybody got some money. Everybody got some adventures. We got some XP, and urban renewal happened. It's all good. That sounds horrible, and I feel bad for saying it like that. That makes me sound like the evil person possible. This is why I never.
It sounds like current politics here.
I know. This is deeply down why I don't ever let myself be in charge, because this is the shit I do. And it's like, hey, Blade, do you want to be in charge? No, I do not want to be in charge. I want to sit here in the back. But you'll do all the math to facilitate our evil. I will facilitate your evil, but I will not pull the trigger. I will give you the gun. I will pull the hammer back. I'll take it off safety, but I'll hand the gun to you. You can. I'll even point the gun at the guy and I'll go, you pull the trigger. But no. I will not pull the trigger. But you facilitated everything but that. I know. But this is how I can justify it to myself.
This was your decision, not mine.
But you told me what to do. You gave me the gun. I know. but you pulled the trigger. You did not listen to me. You have free will. No, I don't. Yes, you did. I told you you have free will. You have free will. Now pull the trigger, motherfucker. This is why I do not want to be in charge. This is why I can be fantastic at this job. I choose not to be.
Just sit back in your office and eat those crunchy chicks.
That's right. Bring me more tendies. I must consume and be happy.
Blaine, I found something that they need to make in Peoria.
Oh, what's that?
Hold on, let me share it. Okay, good. Go to Discord and I start showing off these. This is the sandwich that I had earlier today.
Oh.
Oh yeah, that was epic.
This is a croissant-wich with ham and sausage and bacon with egg and cheese.
That sounds beautiful.
It's all the food groups.
It is. And then they sell donuts too. This is K&K Donuts just down the road on I-10 facing Bernie. These two, this is
Oh, that was
Google
beautiful.
Maps page. Bacon maple donuts.
Oh.
I've never in my life had something that I'm thinking about right now and saying I really want right now. The rest of their donuts are fine, they're great, but these I've never had anywhere else, and I'm wondering why. Because I'm mildly upset. They're that good. I'm 49 and you're just now showing me this shit.
We got a donut shop next town over that's called Gross Donuts. I've been meaning to check it out for a while now.
Definitely do that.
That sounds utterly delightful. But we have a place that makes potato donuts now. And it's actually amazing. One
Potato bread donuts.
They're huge. And they call them spud nuts. But they're potato-based donuts. And one donut is enough. They're such huge donuts. They're so good that you don't realize they're made of potato. But one's all you need. Like someone brought in a dozen of them for my entire for work, and we were all like, "Wow!" And everybody ate like half of one, and was like each, and like, "Oh no, I'm good. So like everybody like packed like the other half of their donut away for like lunchtime. One donut's all you need. Holy crap, baskets!
Freaking food coma. Oh my god, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's like so much sugar, so much glazing, and they're so good and heavy that you're like, I don't. So the donuts just sat there on the counter, and everybody looked at it and went, I do not want a second one.
It extends the body, but it's enough sugar for the brain to just go into hyperdrive.
Yeah. And like second shift came in and goes, usually when people bring donuts, there's nothing for second shift to eat. And we're like, no, enjoy. Have all you could eat. We do not. We are full. We are sated. Odd.
So we've talked about the things I wanted to talk about tonight. Six Nations or crafting. Do you guys have any questions for world creation?
Not that jumps out at the top at this moment. Yeah, I can't think of anything right now.
That's okay. I covered a lot today.
You did a lot. You did really well. And the fact that you stayed on target made me really happy. I do wish we could have Dave in here because I would like to hear his more is or less is more argument. I want to hear from his perspective on how he would adjust or how he would do things because I want to hear the opposite side as well.
Me
I like
too.
what he has to say. I like his book. I really do. I like his stuff, and I can't wait for Big Geek Emporium to come back with actual selection because right now they're selling like 3 or 4 items and that's it. But I want to get back into looking at what he does for his campaign because I think his campaign is a lot more OSR than what It doesn't seem like it's more PM focused or Pathfinder esque. I want to see what he can do. I want to see because me and Khy have talked about this a little bit over the last year, and that's kind of like what led me to where I'm at in my design phase. But I want to hear what David has to say for his less is more mentality. His game is really neat in the aspect that you have a lot of things you can do with it, but it doesn't force itself a certain way. If you want to run just BX modules with his system, you can, but there's some real special things that he does with his system that I find to be kind of interesting just as a GM. That's just me. Okay. Any final thoughts?
No, I'm good.
Well, 2 hours and 36 minutes. I want to say thank you to everybody who showed up. T-Virus Terrence, Soy Base Jeremy, and the others that were there lurking around here. My name is Bruce, and this is my channel. We talk about D&D, and tonight, aside from me fighting sleep and occasionally slopping paint on a little goblin, I just enjoyed myself listening to Khy. I really did. Thank you, one and all, for being here with me.